Hallo und herzlich willkommen zur mittlerweile 7. Folge von Let's Fail Seduce Me mit Melindas Tod und Caroline. Und wie ihr seht, sind wir in Schwierigkeiten, denn dieser Teufel, der anscheinend auch in einer unserer bei einer unserer Schulkolleginnen die Finger im Spiel hat, ja, dessen Freundin entführt uns gerade. Yay! Ja, für mehr ist eh nicht passiert. Übrigens, der Typ, der unbedingt CEO, werden möchte, laut meinem Vater, will er eigentlich auch gar nicht CEO werden, genauso wie wir. Interessant. Und wieso haben wir immer das Gleiche an? Ja, schauen wir mal, was weiter passiert. All I saw was darkness. I felt numb as I was taken to a place I didn't know of. I couldn't even move my lips to scream. Sounds zipped past my ears, first of the interior of a car, then the outside, then an echoey space with whispers and cackles of people vibrating through it. However, the wrap around my eyes was eventually removed from my face and my bonds were cut. It took a while for my eyes to adjust, but I found myself in a warehouse, surrounded by devils, including Malik's, who was smirking at me. I don't like
Nicely
you.
done! I'm sure those little shits will come running to find you when they realize you didn't return to your precious little mansion. They'll search everywhere for you.
Ah, mein Computer. Hast du Läuse? Mein Schatz, hast du Läuse? Scherz. Malix walked over and set the barrel of his gun against the skin between my eyes.
It'll be so funny when they find your dead body instead.
Very funny. Dann warten wir mal. I could see Malix pull the trigger before bracing myself.
Oh, what the fuck?
All good things to those who wait. I opened my eyes again to see Malix jamming his finger against the trigger, trying to shoot me to no avail.
Well, she either has the barrier spell on her, or you're losing your power.
Shut up! I'm not losing shit! This little brat must have that spell on her!
I felt a wave of relief run through my body. The other devils laughed at Malix, which made him angrier.
I said, shut up!
Bring sie alle Malix suddenly moved his gun towards a nearby devil and pulled the trigger. I stared wide-eyed as the bullet from Malix's gun rammed itself into the neck of the devil boy. The wound spouted fire and blood, causing the devil to scream and flail in extreme pain before falling limp to the ground. As the body hit the floor, it began to almost deform and melt. Blood and black ash poured out of the wound and every opening that body had, causing the smell of death to quickly fill the room. I felt like gagging as the body eventually stopped moving. The body became like a deflated balloon, showing me the true nature of Malik's gun. It was now just a pile of blood and skin. The bullet had burned up the muscle, bones, and any structure the body had to give it its form. That could have been me. That could have been me.
Anyone else wanna laugh at me? Huh?
The devils around us shut their mouths, obeying the warning of the obvious master of the space. Malix growled before glaring at me.
As I was saying, it must be some holy magic or some shit like that. Eris?
Eris, die Göttin der Zwietracht aus der griechischen Mythologie. The girl who kidnapped me stepped up beside Malix, looking at me. Malix wrapped a strong arm around her waist and pulled her tight against his side before burying his face against her neck. Eris didn't react, but continued to stare at me as Malix ravaged her shoulder and neck in violent kisses. Eventually, Malix pulled away, licking his lips before looking to Eris' face.
Be a dear and get rid of her barrier. Now.
Without another word, Eris walked around me, out of my line of sight. As I turned my head to try and follow her, Malix raised his gun to my face once again, forcing me to stop moving.
I may not be able to shoot you yet, brat. But there are other ways I can beat the living shit out of you.
Das ist definitiv richtig. I didn't say a single word. I knew how to defend myself against anything he had to offer. I was slowly losing my fear of him, and it was oddly satisfying. All of a sudden, however, I felt air escape me and rush behind me, sucked away from me by a mysterious force. It was like a large vacuum was pulling my soul out from the back. Hoffentlich habe ich mich jetzt nicht getötet. What was even worse was that I felt stuck in place as this was happening. I turned my back to barely see Aris holding a red orb that was absorbing a wide stream of air, possibly magic, from my body. Aris kept her eyes to my back, but Malix grabbed my face and made me look back at him, smirking.
That barrier around you won't be protecting you much longer. Be patient, little human.
Before Malix pulled away, he slapped his hand against my cheek a couple of times, not enough to force my head to turn, but enough to hurt and leave a powerful sting. I wanted to do something. I needed to. I was going to die if that barrier was removed. No way this was happening. No way I was going to let myself be a victim of this. I gotta remember, what was in that book?
What are you whimpering? Are you praying that the boys will come and save you?
I kept grumbling, trying to remember and shut my eyes. Studying for a brief second wasn't enough to keep a spell in my mind, but I had to try something. Anything. All of a sudden, the air grew still and silent. I opened my eyes and looked around, and gasped at the sight. Everything was frozen in time, as if the clocks had stopped and everything had followed suit. What the? At first, I instantly wanted to move, but my feet were glued to the ground. I guess I couldn't change time and escape from where I was, but I was still lost. What was I supposed to do? A soft wisp of wind made me turn to a floating light purple orb. I stared as it glowed, giving off a warm feeling. For some reason, this thing made me feel happy and content, despite the situation I was in. My heart felt like crying, yet I didn't know why. It couldn't have been. Grandfather? As I muttered, the orb slowly grew and faded into a spirit of my grandfather from when I last saw him. I stared up at him, completely shocked that I was correct and that his form was standing in front of me.
I guess it was a good idea to bring the incubi here after all.
What? Is it really you? What do you mean? My grandfather smiled before patting my head gently. I couldn't feel it, but I knew he tried, so I closed my eyes in acknowledgement before looking at him again.
Sweetie, I'm sorry for not telling you, but I didn't know if you were ready to know.
That you handle demon magic?
Yes.
Why? Was it there to gain from learning and... What is there to gain from learning and using demon magic?
It wasn't a matter of gaining anything except knowledge. Through magic, I was able to learn more about the demon world and its wonders. I even met your incubi friends.
Okay. You met the boys?
Yes. It was I who helped them come here. But it seems it was at the cost of my life.
What? Why? Why sacrifice yourself like that? None of this made sense. He died to bring the incubi into the human world? Why? Why? My mind was practically screaming in anger. I needed answers. With time being frozen, we had all the time in the world. Why would you die for something like that? Why leave us alone? Why leave me alone?
I wasn't intending to, my dear. But now that I'm gone, you have a chance to find yourself without anything hindering you.
What?
Your father had always been so hard on me. I'm to blame for that. He learnt of my studies before he married your mother and pushed me away, promising to never follow in my footsteps. As he was my son, I still loved and cared for him. I helped him in little ways, from paying bills and making sure he had food to come home with by adding money to his accounts. You don't know how hard your father worked to get to where he is now.
I stared, trying to take it all in. It was true that my dad worked really hard, but I didn't realize how rough he had it.
When you were born, I couldn't have been any happier. I tried to give you as many toys as I could, but many of them were tossed away by your father to protect you from me. I thought I would never be able to see you, but when I found you on the street, I was blessed enough to be given a chance. After I brought you back to your parents, I asked your mother to convince your father to let you visit me often, and he finally agreed.
Why does Dad hate you so much? Why put that on me?
Your father saw me as a monster. He was afraid I would hurt you. He wanted to protect you from me at all costs, even if it meant becoming a monster to you himself.
You did not know my father! You did not know what he was capable of!
He truly does love and care for you, but he doesn't want you to be as curious as I was.
Curious?
I chose to learn about magic. I grew curious about it. He thought that was wrong. So when I didn't give it up, he shut me out of his life.
Oh, what a stubborn old man.
So I did the only thing I could do. I gave everything I owned to you, including my hidden books your father never knew of.
My head began to spin. There was too much information. It was all going so fast despite time not moving a single inch.
I'm just so happy that my curiosity stayed with you.
So my grandfather met the incubi. That seemed so surreal. I could hardly believe it, yet here was the spirit of my grandfather telling me. It was almost like a dream. So he introduced them to the human world?
That's right. I told them about the wonders of our world, and they all wanted to come to experience it. So I helped them come over and gave them everything they needed. They traveled everywhere, and I helped them as they learned more about humans.
Aber warum?
Then, I suddenly stopped breathing. I don't know why, but I believe it was because my time was up. After I died, the boys tried to come back. However, Malix attacked them instantly when they crossed his path. I used the last bit of my strength to guide them to the estate so they had a place to stay to heal.
So that's why they were in the house. But they said they didn't know about the house belonging to anyone.
I never told them it belonged to anyone. I merely told them to head to the estate for shelter until they could learn to live on their own.
If the estate was meant for them, why give it to me?
I never knew your father would move you in so quickly. Even still, you managed to learn of them and learn of the demon world. You even were curious enough to study the magic.
Why not teach me when I visited?
You were too young to understand. I was hoping that you would make the choice to learn on your own when you were ready to handle it. And you did. I'm so proud of you.
What are you saying? I've barely begun reading it. I don't remember anything.
I will help you remember.
Then my grandfather gently bent down and kissed my forehead. All at once my mind began to fill with spells and history of arcane magic, the demon world, and everything my grandfather had known. I looked up at my grandfather again, now able to remember everything and more as he smiled down at me.
Never forget. Make your own choices and do what you need to do. Don't let someone determine your life for you. If you decide to never look at magic again, I'll understand. But now at least you know it's there.
Oh. My grandfather then patted my head before turning and walking away. I tried to follow after, still unsure and lost as ever, but my feet remained stuck to the floor. Wait, please! He didn't turn back and he didn't stop walking. Soon he vanished past the wall, leaving me alone once again. I gritted my teeth, trying not to cry. My mind was filled with both the power to defend myself and a large amount of confusion I could never hope to shake off. I could feel the air around me start to move again, so I tightened my hands into fists, trying to punch away my concerns. I had to remember. I was Malik's captive. I had to escape. After I escaped, I could figure out my life. Soon the world around me returned to normal, with Malik's mocking me. I closed my eyes and began to mutter a spell from my memory. Spiritus lumine da fortitudinem tuum.
What the? Latin? What are you?
Discedo. All of a sudden, a wave of light burst from my body, washing over the room and pushing the devils away from me to the ground. As the light quickly faded, I shook my head, feeling a small weakness in my legs. Malix quickly hopped up and growled at me, obviously surprised, but irritated beyond belief.
Where did you learn that? I will rip that tongue right out your mouth!
Spiritus tenebrarum periculum prohibere. Ich kann zu schlecht Latein mehr für das.
Come here!
Malix charged at me, dropping the gun that would never hurt me to the floor and reaching for my face. However, I quickly crouched down and covered my head with my arms while a dark magic cycle appeared under my feet. Above me, a dark shield appeared, blocking Malix from touching me.
How? You're just a human!
A human who knows how to fight back. I pushed against the shield, forcing Malix back before standing. I wasn't some damsel in distress. I could fight for myself. I shook out a sudden appearance of numbness in my hands as I glared at Malix, challenging him once again to come at me.
Malix!
No! Stay out of it! I'll kill this bitch with my own 2 hands one way or another!
As commanded, Eris stood away from us along with the other devils. The group watching us was lost in intrigue as I stood up against their leader.
Oh, you must think you're some tough shit since you know some demon magic, huh? Well, guess what, princess? Demon magic consumes energy. I could play this all day, and when you finally lose all your energy, your ass is grass.
I glared, knowing that what he said was true. I couldn't hold out forever, but I definitely had the energy to last a while until someone found me, or until I could overpower Malix somehow. Malix charged at me once again, causing me to run backwards to keep some sort of distance. I could feel energy wanting to shoot out of my hands, so I pointed my palms at Malix. Light purple spikes suddenly began shooting from my hands, forcing Malix to skid back. I had terrible aim, only able to scratch the edges of his body with 1 or 2 actually stabbing into his shoulder and leg. Malix growled, pulling them out and throwing them onto the ground.
Quit playing around, Malix!
I lowered my hands, feeling the numbness run up through my veins to consume both of my arms. I began to pant, desperate for some relief before continuing. Malix smirked at the sight. Oh, for the love of God, please someone find me, I prayed. I hoped that I wouldn't have to keep fighting. I was becoming desperate. What made everyone in the warehouse drop our fighting faces was the screeching of police sirens coming closer to our location. Malix smirked even wider.
It's time to have fun, boys! Make sure you kill them all!
The devils all seemed to get excited and started to walk past us to meet with the cops, but a loud finger snap stopped them and made them turn around. Malix and I looked to see Eris with her hand in the air, post-snap.
Eris? What are you doing?
Enough, Malix! We've wasted enough time in this stupid town. I'm getting out of here and I'm taking the rest with me.
I didn't know whether to laugh or not. I bit my tongue as Malix got angry again.
Like hell you are! Boys, do as I say, or else!
None of the boys moved. Eris snapped her fingers again, causing the boys to rush back past her and out another way from the warehouse.
Malix, it's over. You can't even beat a human girl! You're losing your powers! Lower devils only follow higher-ups that actually have power.
Shut your mouth!
Malix summoned his gun to his hand and shot multiple times at Eris, who somehow managed to teleport away from the shooting line and reappear by us. She shook her head, letting out a sign before grabbing Malix by the neck and pulling him off me. Malix started to choke as Eris stared coldly at him.
All this for a bunch of pretty boys. You must be stupid and desperate.
Eris looked at me, making me tense up.
Human! I suggest heading home to your pretty boys. You don't want to get involved in a supernatural investigation. It's a pain in the ass.
She then turned back to Malix, glaring daggers into him as he glared back at her.
You really think women are weak? Let me fix that, sweetie.
And with that, Eris vanished into the shadows, taking Malix with her. As I was left alone, the police siren stopped. I looked over to the open passage to see the incubi with a large police siren megaphone staring at me in surprise.
Where is he? I swear I'm gonna...
He's gone. Eris took him and left. They won't be coming back. It was also surreal. I was helped by a devil, but I quickly shook off the feeling. I was alive, and that was all that mattered. I fought to stay alive, and there I was. The boys tried to question me, but James cleared his throat, catching the attention of his brothers and me.
Let's just get you home, miss. There's nothing more to see here.
All together, we began to walk out of the warehouse back home. There was no way in hell anyone was going to find out about this. It was over. Malix was gone, and the boys were finally safe. A wave of relief ran through my body at the thought of never having to deal with that group again. At the same time, a ping of realization hit the back of my mind. The boys were only going to stay until after Malix was defeated. That was our deal. As we approached home, I could feel something heavy weigh down my head. Hard. It was late, but the boys let me inside and turned on the lights in the lobby. Was das
Finally,
jetzt?
we can relax.
Wirklich jetzt? Das war auch kein sehr langes Spiel.
It will be good to have some rest without devils breathing down our necks.
I'm just tired. Can I hit the hay early?
I think some sleep would be good for all of us.
I looked at Damien, knowing he could read my mind, and frowned. I didn't want him to know about my thoughts on the situation. Yeah, bed sounds good. I wanted to just end tonight. Too much had happened and I felt dizzy just trying to figure it out. However, Damien spoke up, stopping all of us from moving.
Should we be gone in the morning?
The air became still with tension. The realization of the situation hit the boys like a wave, forcing them to turn to me in curiosity. They had remembered their deal and they were now awaiting me to decide their fate. However, I knew my answer. I couldn't keep them here. I knew I couldn't. They were demons and I was a human. I needed to deal with my own life beyond anything else. If the boys stayed, my life would only become more complicated. I think that would be best. James nodded in agreement, keeping a professional tone in his voice as he replied to me.
Then we will be gone before you wake, miss. Thank you for letting us stay here as long as we did.
I could feel the upset emotions of the incubi reverberating in the room, but I couldn't change my mind. I had too much going on in my life to let them stay, no matter how much I wanted them to.
It was a pleasure to have served you, beautiful lady.
It was hard watching each boy turn away from me for the last time. I stood there waiting for them all to leave the lobby.
I guess this is goodbye. Yeah. Have a good one.
I stuck to my guns. I knew I was making the right choice.
Thank you for having us, miss. Maybe we'll see each other again.
Maybe, maybe not.
Goodbye.
As Damien left my side, I finally let in air that was denying into my body and sighed. My life would return to normal, well, as normal as it could be. However, I was smarter and wiser than before. I knew of things beyond humanity now. I had come to learn about the boys and about the existence of the supernatural. I wasn't blind to what was beyond human life. Learning of this made me more open-minded. I nodded to myself before heading into my room, closing the door and mentally allowing the reality of the situation to sink in. Tomorrow I had school, no devils to kidnap me, no incubi to wake up with. I went to bed that night, accepting and not regretting anything. Or so I had hoped. Oh Gott sei Dank, ich dachte, das Spiel schon aus.
You are an interesting creature.
I opened my eyes to see a woman staring down at me with a very sly smirk on her face. I opened my mouth to scream in fright, but a hand quickly covered my mouth.
No screaming now. Too early, silly girl.
Hentai? I could only stare up at the woman above me. I still felt weak, not having the strength to move and fight her off. She was very beautiful, but I felt more anger than amazement.
Why do the boys like you? You're unique, yes, but that can't be all that you have going for you.
Rage began to consume my core again. This woman, whoever she was making me mad. She must have known as she let another smirk grow on her face.
Ooh, you're feisty. That could be why.
Before I could bite her hand in anger, she removed her hand from my lips, standing up and staring down at me from her place next to my bed. I quickly sat up and glared daggers at the intruder. Who the hell are you, and why are you in my room? The woman began to laugh, making the rage inside me increase. I wanted to punch her, but I waited for her answer.
How silly of me. I forgot that we demons are not well known of in your world. You can call me Diana, little human.
Diana? Demon? You're a demon?
I am, but I'm much more than just an average demon.
Fancy. What do you mean?
Silly girl. I'm a succubus.
Ah, die Frauenform. I stared at Diana in shock. A succubus? First incubi, now a succubus. Great! I have now met both genders of sex demons. Sag ich doch. Charmed. Charmed wissen. Diana crossed her arms under her bosom and looked at my body.
Well, you are pretty, but you seem very reckless. Too reckless.
I moved out and stood from the bed, still glaring at Diana. Why are you here?
Well, I came here to clean up what the boys clearly forgot to clean. Men. So sloppy.
What do you mean by that?
I mean erasing your memories, sweetie.
This woman wasn't serious, was she? She comes into my room and spouts this? This was ridiculous. I began to walk towards my door, wanting to leave the room. The boys could get rid of her. I had no mind about dealing with her myself.
The boys are gone, sweetie.
I froze in place. What? They were gone already? No way. I turned to Diana, glaring hard at her as she kept a smirk to me. You're lying.
Am I? If you want to go see for yourself, you can. But I promise you'll be wasting your time.
I stared, trying to find any hint if she was lying. She had to be. The boys wouldn't just up and leave without resting first, right? Diana crossed her arms and waited for me to make a choice. I decided to believe her for now. I'd find some hint in this conversation. What do you mean, take my memories?
Well, we demons can't have just anyone knowing about us. You have to completely devote your soul to learning about us. And even then, it's not always guaranteed that you can be granted knowledge of us.
What makes me not deserve to know everything? I was attacked by devils. I found the boys in my house, wounded, and sheltered them. I think I deserve to remember those moments. Diana let out a laugh, running a hand through her hair, before looking back to me, amused.
You were attacked by a gang and were almost killed. You found 5 homeless men and let them stay in your home. There's nothing special about either of these instances.
Yes, there was.
A human like you can't understand the rules. The boys themselves aren't even aware of the rules. They'll learn soon enough.
Diana flipped her hair before looking at me with a stern look.
Listen, sweetie. You're not going back to bed or leaving this house with those memories. I'm taking them from you one way or another.
I glared, standing my ground. You're not taking my memories. I'm not letting you take them.
And what do you plan to do with them, huh? Tell the press? Gossip to your friends that demons exist? Confess to your parents that you had demon servants and were almost killed by a devil gang?
Now she was making me mad. Did she seriously think I was this stupid? These memories were precious to me and I wasn't going to let her win over my mind. These memories are important to me. I know that other creatures exist. I know that magic exists. I'm more open-minded now.
Open-minded or gullible?
What did she mean by that? The point of being open-minded was to be open to all thought. How is that anything close to being gullible?
There is nothing to learn from remembering the boys that won't bring trouble. I'm merely saving you from that. There are more than just demons who want to keep their existence a secret. There are many creatures in this world that don't want to be known of, and you remembering a small fragment is not acceptable to them without good reason.
Diana smirked.
If you would have kept the boys, or at least had one of them around, they'd be a little more lenient to listen to your pleas. However, you're about to go into tomorrow without any of them around.
I couldn't believe my ears. There were more than just demons? Other fictional creatures existed? There was a system? What? Diana sighed and snapped her fingers, lifting my body up from the ground with her magic.
Look, I can kill you and no longer waste what little time I have, or I can erase your memories and go on with my life. I have more important things to do above arguing with you.
Eesh. I looked down at the ground to see something that made every nerve in my body quickly quake in fear. On the ground was a large open mouth with sharp wet teeth leading to an empty black abyss. I could feel the heat from the mouth's breath panned against my floating body. Ah! I looked to Diana, who was looking at me with a stern and almost heartless gaze.
Make a choice, sweetie. Give up your memories or be a demon's snack. I warn you, he's quite the biter.
I was panicking. I was about to die. Again. The boys weren't here to protect me. What was I going to do? I wasn't going to let her win. I knew I could fight her. I began to pull on the hold on me roughly. My mind was fighting, but my body wasn't responding.
You still wish to fight?
Diana rubbed the temples before walking to me.
I've had enough of this.
All of a sudden, Diana grabbed my head, making my mind blank out. I felt large waves of energy sip from my body and mind at her touch, but it intensified as Diana placed her lips on mine. Ew. I didn't kiss back. I didn't fight. I couldn't do anything. I could only stare as she drained my body of energy. My body began to go limp and my mind grew insanely heavy. If it wasn't floating, I would surely be on the ground passing out. How was she able to pull this much energy without doing anything more than kissing me? I would never know. Soon my whole body felt numb and I felt like an empty spirit floating in midair. Diana slightly frowned at the sight.
Such a waste.
Diana ran a hand over my hair, twirling a string around her finger.
So long, sweetie.
Before I knew it, I was falling. She had let me go. I could only close my eyes. I didn't even feel a thing. The end. End, so long, sweetie. Das war's. Ja, voll langweilig. Anscheinend war's das. Ja, gut, dann hoffe ich, die Geschichte hat euch gefallen, auch wenn sie ein sehr unzufriedenstellendes Ende hat. Und wir schauen mal, was sind denn da für Extras. Anscheinend habe ich was falsch gedrückt, weil ich da nicht zu einem Ending-Video komme. Hä? Wo habe ich jetzt aufgeklickt? What is the angel's password? All caps, no spaces. Keine Ahnung. Yes, what the fuck? Okay. Ich werde mir das mal anschauen, ob das jetzt wirklich das Ende war oder nicht. Egal. Ich sage auf jeden Fall für diese Folge Tschüss und bis zum nächsten Mal. Vielleicht in einem anderen Let's Play, vielleicht kann ich da weitermachen. Tschüss.